In my coaching practice, one of the things that I work on with clients all the time is limiting beliefs and overcoming their limiting beliefs. So what is a limiting belief? Well, we all have beliefs. We live our lives by so many beliefs that you're not even aware that they are beliefs, right? You might just accept them as this is the truth. When we talk about beliefs, we're not just talking about religious beliefs, spiritual beliefs, political beliefs. We're talking about all sorts of things. We're talking about beliefs about yourself, about who you are, what kind of person you are. We're talking about beliefs about what other people are like. We're talking about beliefs about money, beliefs about relationships, beliefs about health, beliefs about all sorts of things, including this computer. All right. You can develop beliefs about computers, about cameras, about everything. All right. So, for instance, if you have a belief about yourself that, oh, I'm not good on camera. When a camera is pointed at me, I don't know what to say, or I don't look good on camera, right? Those are beliefs about yourself, but then you can transfer those beliefs to a camera to the point where you form a kind of belief that cameras are stupid, or cameras are too difficult to use, or computers are complicated, right? You can develop all these little beliefs that you're not even aware of on a conscious level, and you might not even realize constitute a belief system. That is part of your belief system. And we live our lives by the belief system that we have, right? That's how we make decisions in life, through our beliefs. That's how we perceive the world. So they're pretty important, right? So we all have beliefs, but what makes a belief limiting? A belief is limiting when it holds you back, when it holds you back personally from doing something, or when it holds you back from having a certain kind of relationship with another person, right? When it affects you, when it limits you, that's a limiting belief. You know, it's okay to have beliefs. Sure, everyone has beliefs. Even the huge personal development gurus out there, right? All have beliefs, but some people have done a lot of work on making sure that those beliefs work for them instead of against them, right? So don't let your beliefs work against you. Although it's an ongoing process for everybody, all right? It's not just that everyone has beliefs. Everyone also has limiting beliefs. Everyone is on that journey of overcoming the self-imposed limitations that we have, all right? So how do you find these limiting beliefs? How do you locate them? How do you target them in the first place? Well, you could start with a prompt, all right, such as money is. So I would give you that prompt, money is, and then notice what your first response is there. All right. So some people will say money is amazing, right? And for a person who says money is amazing, they're likely to go after that money, right? They're likely to pursue money in some way. But for someone who says money is the root of all evil, well, they're going to have a different approach to money, right? Not going to approach it. And so, this is the same with everything. If I give you a prompt, I am, and then you say, oh, I am, and then think of an adjective, or maybe a noun, right? So how do you define yourself? This can be very revealing, these kinds of prompts. Now, another way is to ask questions about why you do something, right? What's the reason that you do something in your life? And so when I'm coaching a client and I find out, let's say that they are a workaholic, that they're overworking constantly, doing 70 hours a week, putting in tons of overtime, I might ask, well, why do you think you do that? Right? I would ask a few more questions too. But when it comes down to it, and they give me these reasons, when I find out those reasons by digging deep, they might come up with something like, it makes me feel good to work hard. And I said, well, why does it make you feel good? Well, because when I've worked hard, I know that I deserve the job, that I'm worthy of the job, that I'm worthy of having this position, that I'm worthy of other people's time, right? And so sometimes it gets down even past that, and then I make the connection between how they're behaving at work and maybe how they're behaving with family members and friends as well. And I realize, and you can realize too, you don't need a coach to do this, but you can self-coach yourself through questioning. You can realize that you have a limiting belief that you've developed over the years, that your self-worth depends on other people's approval or other people's praise, right? This is just one example of a limiting belief, but it is a very common one, which is why I'm using it as an example. I've come across this in several of my clients. And it's very common to struggle with this, right? And so if you find yourself overworking, overcompensating, then it could be because you are chasing the approval of other people. And so if you're chasing the approval of other people, you ask yourself why, the underlying belief could be because in order to be worthy, in order to be a worthy human being, then I need other people's approval. And so you're looking for these assumptions. Okay, if you're looking at the reasons for these various actions that you take in your life that you're maybe not too happy about, then you're looking for the underlying assumptions and what are those, how are those assumptions limiting you? So then you can ask yourself, how does it serve you? And some people laugh that part off. They're like, oh, well, yeah, I know it doesn't serve me. And they'll just say, I know it doesn't serve me. But wait, that's not true, because you've developed this belief for a reason. You're not simply in self-destructive mode, not in the long term. There's a short-term benefit that you're getting from it. You're being served by this belief in some way, right? So dig deeper under that, right? How is it serving you? If you were to change this belief, what would you be losing? Because you might be losing something. So you might, this person who's overworking, a workaholic, they might say, well, I guess I wouldn't get the promotion, right? Or I guess people would give me a hard time if I haven't done A, B, C, D, and E, right? So you're getting these various benefits. You might get a raise, right? You might get that promotion. You might get extra recognition. You might get a bonus. You might get that extra client or that extra project, whatever it is. And so that's very important to know what it is giving you. How is it serving you, right? And then ask yourself, how would it serve you to have the opposite belief instead, right? So you've already established maybe the old belief has a couple of benefits, promotion, pay, for example. Now, how would it serve you to have the opposite belief? Now, what is the opposite belief? Maybe it is that you don't depend on other people for approval, right? So how would it serve you to have that belief? And then you might start thinking, well, if I believed the opposite, then I wouldn't need to go and work so much, right? Maybe I wouldn't even need this job. Wow. And then that's a huge shift, right? Maybe you don't need the job that you're trying to prove yourself in. You're seeking approval in this job, but also you're seeking approval by having this job in the first place, right? Perhaps. And so then you start looking at the bigger picture of life and think, well, how would it serve me to have this opposite belief? Well, I could go and do this other thing that really brings me joy, right? Okay. And then the next step is, well, okay, I understand that it would be great to have this other belief, but I don't have this other belief. I have this old belief, right? I have this old belief that I need other people's approval, and I can't just decide to change my belief, right? So the next step is to find what the evidence is for your old belief. All right, so you've got your old belief here. What's the evidence? What's the evidence that this is true? All right, so if it is that your approval, that your self-worth depends on other people for approval, then I want you to find 3 pieces of evidence for that. So you might think about it a second and say, well, I remember that when I was a kid, my mother and father, they would always make judgments about people in this way, right? We were not about me, maybe they weren't making judgments about me, but we would be watching TV and they would be making judgments on the people on TV. And I love my parents and I want them to love me. So I don't want to be like those people on TV because they don't like them. So I'm gonna be different. I'm gonna be one of the people who they praise, right? And otherwise I'm not worthy. I don't have enough self-worth, right? So you might say that, or you might think about that. It's a very common one, by the way. The next one is maybe you think back to your school days and you think how your teacher would punish the students who got a bad grade, and the teacher would give stickers to the students who got a good grade, maybe on a spelling test or whatever. And then you could say, well, this is objective evidence that I'm not good enough, or I'm not worthy if I don't have the teacher's approval. Because look, there's punishment and there's praise, right? There's reward, punishment and reward. And so this is a very objective thing, you might think. Say that's evidence. And then you might say the third piece of evidence is, well, at work, take the whole situation at work that started this conversation. The boss will judge me. The boss will judge me in a bad way, in a negative way, if I don't do the work. And, I've made a commitment and the boss is going to judge me. All right, so those are your 3 pieces of evidence. You got the parents' judgment, the teacher's punishment, and the boss's judgment, okay? Now, the next step is to question that evidence. Question it. And there are certain techniques that I'll use when I'm coaching to really probe into that, to question it. But for example, the first one, with the parents, let's say, well, my mother and father would always judge these kinds of people on TV, judge them in a negative way. I might ask, always? They would always do it? How often is always, right? And did your parents ever tell you something like, we love you no matter what, or we love you unconditionally? And then you might say, well, yes, that is true, right? Okay, so now we've got a little bit of, the belief's on a little bit of shaky ground now. It's not quite as sturdy as it was before, right? So you start to question that. Well, sometimes my parents said this, sometimes my parents said that. So, it's kind of a little bit, it's a little bit fuzzy now. All right, let's move on to the teacher. So the teacher, you said the teacher would always punish the students who didn't get a good grade and reward those who did. Every teacher? Did every teacher do that? And what was the reason that the teacher did that? And were the students adults? Were the students grown-ups like you now? What kind of thing were they punishing students for? Right? All of these, and how do you know that the teacher was right to do that in the first place? Right? All of these questions, so start questioning the belief. And then the next one, the last one, is the boss. So you said the boss would judge you if you didn't do the work. How do you know? How do you know the boss would judge you? Well, because maybe the boss always praises me because I do good work and work overtime. If I stop doing the overtime, the boss wouldn't praise me anymore. Therefore, he would think negatively, or she would think negatively of me, right? But then, okay, how do you know that? Have you tried? And then you might say, yes, that happened once before and the boss looked disappointed. Well, how do you know that that was a disappointed look? How do you know that the boss isn't jealous of you? How do you know? You can just dig into it. So question all of this evidence that you think you have. All right, but that's still not enough. That's still not enough to change your belief just because you've questioned that evidence. What evidence can you find for the new belief? So let's say you wanted to have the belief that your self-worth is determined by yourself and not by other people. Okay, what evidence can you come up with for that? Maybe it's hard for you to think that, but then I challenge you to think of 3 pieces of evidence for that. And then, once you've got those 3 pieces of evidence, they can be questionable too, but what evidence is not questionable? You see, once you understand that all of this truth, all of this evidence can be questioned and broken down, you start to realize that actually all of this stuff can be questioned. It's just that I'm choosing to believe this evidence instead of that evidence, right? And then you start to say, well, wait a minute, so I can choose the evidence. I can really choose the evidence. And once I choose the evidence, then I can create my new belief because I focus on this kind of evidence instead. So you're focusing on the new evidence and you're creating the new belief out of that evidence. So let's say the new belief is my self-worth used to be determined by other people. Now I determine my own self-worth. Right? So that is the new belief. It's very important for you to put the old belief in the past tense, right? I used to be this way. Now I'm this way, right? I've got all of this new evidence and now I'm this way. And once you've got that belief, you need to write it down. Write it down in a sentence. It's got to be in a sentence form. And put that new belief somewhere that is visible, somewhere you're going to see it every day. All right? Somewhere you're going to read it every day. and do an affirmation, even better, an incantation, where you move your body every day as you are reading it and saying it aloud and feeling that in your body. All right. But there's one more step, right? It's not enough just to do the daily incantation. The final step is to act on it. All right. Because it's a cycle. If you have written down this new belief and you've made it visible and you're doing your daily incantations with it every day now every day you have to act on it in some way. Continue adding evidence, continue piling evidence onto that. All right. So whatever your new belief is, you need to find some way each day to build upon it. And then you'll build a structure out of that foundation, right? And pretty soon that old belief will truly be an old belief, and the new belief will just be something that you live by. All right. So I hope this helps. Please leave a comment. Let me know if you got some value out of this video. All right. If you found this video helpful, please give it a like and share it on social media so that it can help other people as well. And if you want more videos like this, click that subscribe button and the notification bell so that you know when I post new videos. I also have a podcast called Identity Coaching with Movies, where I use movies as coaching tools for your personal development. You can find my podcast on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, or directly on my website, GabrielSeanWallace.com. I have a link to my website in the description below, and on it you can read my blog. You can learn more about identity coaching and creativity coaching. And if you're interested in getting one-to-one coaching with me, or you know someone else who is, then you can learn more about it there and contact me via the website. You can also take a look at my creativity course, my 18-hour creativity course that will help you to access your inner creator and skyrocket your creativity and innovation so that you can apply it in any project in your life, including, my friend, the grandest project of them all, yourself. You can find that creativity course on my website or directly in the description below. There's a link. Okay, my friend, keep growing into you.